So today is one of the most beautiful verses. Mukta bhimani mukto hibadho baddha bhiyamanyapi kevannanti satyam yamati sa gatir bhavit. So the simple translation first, and then we will go to the essence of it. He who considers himself free is free indeed. So he is talking of the freedom, and in that freedom, we discover happiness. So he who considers himself, literal translation, so not a good translation, and he who considers himself bound remains bound. As one thinks, so one becomes. As one thinks, so one becomes is a popular saying in this world, and it is quite true. This is one way to translate. Now, let us go into a little deeper in understanding this verse. So, what the master says, Mukta Abhimani Mukto, who am I? First, let me know who am I. So, here it shall be, who am I? And once I'm aware who am I, then I can filter out all that who am I not. Am I Shelby? No, Shelby is a name. Am I David? David is a name. Am I male? No, male is also a gender. Am I American? When we are searching the real self, no, American is also a label. So he is pointing out how knowledge of the real self removes and ends suffering. We are not able to remove our suffering because we don't want to leave our clinging attachment from the world outside. Not, K-N-O-T, not. This is the knot in the mind. This is the leash in the mind. This is the tether in the mind between the matter and the consciousness. I gave just, I was giving an example. Candy having different color, shape, size. It is the external nature, but the sweetness, if you remove the sweetness, candy has no meaning. So, what is essential gives meaning, gives an essence. So, who am I really gives this essence to the body, the mind, the intellect, my profession. Can you imagine and think of it? If consciousness is not there in the body, no meaning of this body. You may have a great name. You have a most beautiful name. You have a most beautiful body, but the consciousness is not there. Then this body has a no meaning. But we normally get attached. How dare you abused me? How dare you told me crazy? So when I say crazy, I'm referring to the body. I'm not referring to the consciousness. I'm not referring to who the real I am. This is what he is referring to. Now, think of this. This is what happens in the intellect. The intellect becomes impure. What is that? Our real nature is pure consciousness. It is of the permanent happiness. What I'm going to say next. You see that I My body is changing, but something in me wants to hold the body. It says, no, do not change. What is this? This is what the ego senses. But the matter has to change. Body is made up of matter. The house has to change. Do you see that? My eyes have to change. I'm now 61 years old, so I'm wearing glasses. But the mind says, no, do not change. Which mind? It has an ego sense. So that is what I was talking. The shape and the stuff of a candy is superimposed on the sweetness. Similarly, my mind, because of ignorance, not knowing the reality, superimpose the matter on my real nature. Then I claim this is me, and then I get into stress and suffering. I superimpose on myself that I'm a husband. Honey, why don't you listen to me? Because I'm a husband. Superimposition. See, that we do at every moment in our life. And that is how the intellect becomes impure. And this intellect creates an ego sense, and we are gone. Then we suffer. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? How to get rid of this? How to get rid of this superimposition? That is what the master says. Mukta bhimani muktoho ibadho badhabhi manyapi. Your intellect is impure and claims I'm the husband, I'm wife, I'm teacher. Superimposition. Then you are bound to suffer. You will continue to suffer until you know your real nature. Body is changing, and I want this body should remain constant. My eyes are changing. I say, no, should not change. My phone is changing. I said, you should not change. I superimpose. I superimpose. So we need to think and reflect. We have to make our mind pure. Means the intellect should penetrate deeply to see the sweetness of a candy is independent of the stuff that is superimposed on it. Now apply this in life. My real nature is pure consciousness. Over it, I superimpose my religion, my cult, my dogma, my citizenship, my name, my form, my color, different labels. That is the problem. Now ask yourself, can you ever superimpose anything in the space? The space remains independent. You build a skyscraper and demolish it. Space remains the same. Are you getting it? I'm taking you a little deeper. Space remains the same. No change in the space. In that air, that nothing can be imposed, but we superimpose falsely a fragrance. Oh, we should have some aroma before doing meditation. Air remains free. Do you see? Air is totally untouched, but I superimpose. I superimpose. Similarly, can I put my real self in a bottle? Can I put consciousness in a bottle? No. Can I put this consciousness attached to the body? Answer is no. But then why I am attached? Because of the ego sense. I superimposed and I became one ego sense, and then I claim I am suffering. Are you really suffering? That is what we see. Now think of that. Can I limit happiness? Can I measure quantity of happiness? So it happens because of the knot. It happens because of the leash. Most beautiful, very penetrating wisdom. Let us understand it. Knowledge. What is this knowledge? What is this knowledge? From where the ego sense enters in our life. We are going there. Because the verse says, those who have an ego sense that they are bound, they will continue to remain bound and they will suffer from anxiety, from depression, from lot of other challenges. So let us classify the knowledge. One is the knowledge of the real self, and one is the knowledge of others. I know you. Clear? First, the intellect says, I know you. Second, I like you. Clear? And then, I am your friend and you are my friend. This is one type of knowledge. Right? Clear? So, because I know you, I like you, so I am your friend. Can I be friend to myself? Do I like myself? Another type of knowledge. It happens in the field of awareness. It happens when the intellect is pure. There is no ego sense. Can you be friend to yourself? Do you say, I like me, I like myself, and I dislike myself? Are you getting it? So I know myself free from the liking and disliking. I know you based on my liking and disliking. So where comes the ego sense? Ego sense, first I know you, you are other than me. Then the ego sense, I like you. Then third, the ego sense that you are my friend. Other type of the knowledge of myself. Should I create a liking first before I know myself? Are you getting it? Are you getting it? No. The way I am, huh? The way this barredness is there still, it has nothing to do with the liking and my disliking. I know myself. Knowledge of others goes always with the liking and disliking. Can you be friend to a person whom you dislike? The person, the mind, intellect says this is good and this is bad, then we choose. That is the knowledge of others. The knowledge of others comes with a sense of ego, I-ness. But I know myself. Not a question of liking and disliking. Are you getting it? So the master says, the way you think, what you think, you become. So here the thinking is nothing exactly as a thought process, but it is an awareness. In the field of awareness, you come into my mind. Jerry, David, come into my mind. That mind gives a label that I like both of them. Then I know, then you are my friend. Can I be friend to myself in the same way? No. I'm simply aware. That awareness is nothing but a state of meditation. So, knowledge of the real self comes from the intellect, which has become Manisha. What is Manisha? It is pure, simple intellect with a conviction. Do you have a conviction that I am here now listening? Do you have a conviction that I am alive? You're alive. That's why you're listening. That's why you are listening. But now see the knowledge of others. The person is lying on the bed, not moving. The guy did not move for 2 to 3 hours. What is whatever mind says? Oh, I don't know whether the person is alive or not. And still I know I'm alive. Mukta abhimani mukto hi baddho badhyabhi manyapi. Let us go a little deeper for the sake of understanding. Our desire, clinging, bondage lives in the sense organ, in the mind, and in the intellect. 3 levels. So he is saying that as long as the desire, the bondage, the clinging, the superimposition lives in the intellect, you create an ego sense that binds you, you live in bondage, and you suffer. So, in the intellect, now that intellect has created an ego sense. Now it lives in ignorance. In the morning, you start looking into the mirror, and the mind says, intellect says, I'm old. So the ego sense says, no, I have to maintain. I don't want you to change. I'm bound. I got limitedness. Ego sense comes, and that ego sense causes problem in our life. I told you before also, he was very close to one president, and he had become my uh, student and a friend in New Jersey. He has written a lot of books, at least 15 books on American democracy. I don't want to tell you the name. He died recently, 2 years ago. I was guiding him for at least 3 to 4 years. Why? What caused him anxiety? You'll be laughing at it. So he met me at the age of, I would say, 70. And first question he always asked me in almost every session. At the age of 40, I did not have any problem. I did not have any fear. Why I have fear? Why I have these problems? You see, the attachment with the body. I don't want to change my body. I don't want that my body should be changing. Become aware what is changing in this world. Constant changing. Constant changing. I change, I feel good. But you should not change because you are related to me. You understand that? Then what happens after a few years? I say, you don't love me the way you used to love me 10 years ago. What about you? Did you not change? So the ego sense does not see oneself, it perceives others based on liking and disliking, creates an ego sense, and that ego sense lives our daily life. And as long as you live your daily life with that ego sense, you're gone. You have to suffer. So, in that case, this great writer and thinker, New Jersey, he created an ego sense. Otherwise, in his circle, I attended a lot of parties with him. He was known as one of the best thinkers about democracy, but he never thought about himself. He did not reflect what he is doing. And only because of this thought, I would say he died. So our master says, Mukta Bhimani Muktohi. If you take your mind deeper within, purify the mind, lived in the purified intellect, from that intellect you perceive the reality, you become free. That is the highest meditation. Let us start our journey of meditation, and then we will share our